Akpijlaze, hello and welcome to the beautiful Susan McEachern Memorial Ballpark in beautiful Sydney, Nova Scotia, part of the Cape Breton Regional Municipality. My name is Michael Petter. This is the 2022 Baseball Canada Men's National Championships quarter-final action. We've reached the knockout stage. Pool play is all over and done with, and we've reached the quarterfinals. The first quarterfinal will feature the Elmwood Giants out of Manitoba taking on the Kamloops Sun Devils from British Columbia. Elmwood finished third in their pool, and Kamloops finished second in theirs, so Elmwood is the visiting team in this game. Means they're leading off, and their catcher, Nathan Christiuk, is the first batter of the game, and he takes the first pitch, and it just misses ball one. Following Christiuk, it will be the shortstop, Garrett Popplestone. Batting third today will be third baseman Dan Carter. In the cleanup spot, the man who was the hero in the opening game of the tournament, Chris Norkey. Batting in the fifth spot is the DH, Kyle Armstrong. Batting sixth, left fielder Steve Pritchard. And then 7, 8, 9, Brett Boudreau, the first baseman, Chris Moffat, the center fielder, and Colton Boudreau, the second baseman. 2-1 now the count on Christiuk. We should also mention that the starting pitcher for Elmwood will be Braden Hatley. That one chopped down to third base, gathered up there by Nevison across the diamond in time for the first out. And along with Nevison, we'll run you through the rest of the defense for the Kamloops Sun Devils. We mentioned that Nevison is at third base, sharing the left side of the infield with him, the shortstop Gus Wilson. Right side of the infield is David Wells at second base, Evan Douglas at first. The outfield from left to right, Rob Morrison, Taylor Van Ham, and Jay Huggins. And then catching is Connor McKenzie for his starting pitcher today, who is Colby Lukanchuk. Garrett Popplestone in to bat. Here in this quarter-final game here from Susan McEachern Memorial Ballfield. And that one's going to get into the gap in right center on his horse. Popplestone in easily with a stand-up double. So the first base runner of the ball game, Garrett Popplestone with the double. That'll bring up Dan Carter, the third baseman for the Giants. Giants have played 2 of their 3 games here on this ballpark, so this is our third chance to see them here on Petter Sports and Streaming Services through AOTV. That one fouled well back and out of play. For the Sun Devils, that's a few times now I've tried to refer to them as the Kamloops Blazers. For the Blazers, this just their second game on this field, and it's actually the second game literally in a row on this field, as they played in the last pool game. We'll talk about that in a little more detail coming up in a little bit as to how each of these teams got to this point. That pitch misses just a little bit high and maybe a touch inside as well. 1-1 the count to the third baseman for the Elmwood Giants. Way up high into the air, just in front of second base. The second baseman, David Wells, makes the catch for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Chris Norkey, the right fielder. We mentioned he was the hero of the opening game of this tournament. It was tied at 0 all the way into the bottom of the 7th inning between Elmwood and Dartmouth from Nova Scotia. And with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th, a solo home run for Chris Norkey out over the right field fence gave Elmwood the walk-off victory and brought them out to a 1-0 start. They ended up dropping their next 2 games, but got in by virtue of a better defensive run ratio than the Edmonton Cubs in games amongst tied teams, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But the fact that they won that game 1-0 against Dartmouth, a big factor, their only win of the tournament in pool play. Swing and a miss there, and it's 1-2. So Elmwood, the third place team in Pool A, taking on the Kamloops Sun Devils, who finished second in Pool B. That one out into center field. It'll drop in front of Van Ham. Van Ham comes up throwing, but the ball just a little bit up the line. The throw home will allow Norkey to get down to second base, so an RBI single. And the Elmwood Giants are on the board first, leading 1-0. Norkey and Popplestone trading places after Norkey took second on the throw home. A good throw from Van Ham, but it was just a little bit too far up the third base line. Kyle Armstrong now coming into bat. He's the designated hitter for this Elmwood team. Chopper down to third, gathered up by Nevison. He gets the throw across the diamond, and that will do it for the Elmwood Giants in the top of the first inning, but they did get one run on 2 hits. There were no errors and 1 runner left on base. We've played half an inning, and it's Elmwood 1, Kamloops coming up. Taking a look. Taking a look at Kamloops' batting order for the team from the Okanagan Valley. Center fielder Taylor Van Ham will lead things off. Gus Wilson, the shortstop, bats second. Eric Hebronson, who pitched the game here just a couple hours ago, will get a defensive rest but get a chance to get some swings in as he'll be DHing today. Evan Douglas, the first baseman, Jay Huggins, the right fielder, and Rob Morrison, the left fielder, are the middle third of the lineup. And then batting seventh, it'll be David Wells, the second baseman. Connor McKenzie, the catcher, bats eighth, and Scott Nevison, the third baseman, batting ninth. And all of that in support of the Kamloops starting pitcher, Colby Lukenchuk. And taking a look at the defensive alignment that the Kamloops Sun Devils will be hitting into. Out in the outfield, it's Steve Pritchard playing left, Chris Moffat in center, Chris Norkey in right. And then around the infield from third to first, Dan Carter and Garrett Popplestone on the left side. Colton Boudreau and Brett Boudreau, the Boudreau brothers, on the right side of the infield. Colton at second and Brett at first. Nathan Christiuk is behind the plate, and he'll be catching today for Braden Hatley, who makes the appearance on the mound for the Elmwood Giants. Taylor Van Ham to lead things off. Van Ham, in the game that we had here just a few hours ago, ended up going 0 for 4. That pitch misses high. Ball 1. The 1-0 catches the top of the zone, and it's now a 1-1 count on the center fielder from Kamloops. We mentioned the Sun Devils went 2-1. They picked up the victory over Sydney 6-2 here this afternoon, earlier this afternoon. The 2 games they had yesterday, they played both of their games yesterday over in New Waterford. They played 1 game on Thursday in New Waterford, 1 game Friday in New Waterford. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and a first K of the afternoon for Braden Hatley. Oh. There we go. That'll bring up Gus Wilson, the shortstop for Kamloops. The Sun Devils lost their opener 10-0 to the Charlottetown Islanders. That one fouled back. They bounced back with a wild victory last night in a game against St. John's. The final score ended up being 16-14 in 10 innings. Kamloops needed to score in the top of the 7th inning to tie the game up at 12 and force extras. No runs in the 8th, no runs in the 9th. And then Kamloops scored 4 in the top of the 10th. And St. John's fought back, scored 2 in the bottom of the 10th, but it wasn't enough. And so Kamloops, with a 2-1 record, finishing second in the pool. Another ball fouled off. The count remains 1-2 to Wilson. Takes one just a little bit high, and it's now 2-2. The Giants, as we mentioned, they finished 1-2. They beat Dartmouth by a score of 1-0, and then they lost back-to-back games against the Edmonton Cubs and the one here earlier this morning against the Windsor Stars. Had them at 1-2. Dartmouth and Edmonton also finished 1-2. And there's a called third strike, so back-to-back Ks to start things off for Hatley. One caught swinging, one caught looking. And that'll bring up Eric Hebronson, the designated hitter for the Sun Devils. Or Hebronson, excuse me. I think I've been calling him Hebronson all through the last game as well, I think. And if so, I do apologize. No, I was calling him the right name in the last game. I just got it wrong this time. So, again, Dartmouth, Elmwood, and Edmonton were all tied at 1-2. They all finished 1-1 against each other. So then the next tiebreaker was defensive run ratio in the games amongst the tied teams. Dartmouth, in the games involving Elmwood and Edmonton, only gave up 2 runs. Elmwood, there's a swing and a miss, and striking out the side in order is Braden Hatley for the first inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, no balls put in play. We've played one complete inning. We are 1-0 in favor of the Elmwood Giants. And we need to talk about this beautiful facility here, the Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field, and it is named for the wife of the coach of the Sydney Sooners, who of course were the host team for this event. And Susan McEachern unfortunately passed away back in 1995 as a result of cancer. And so you see the logo on the bottom of the screen there. That's a picture of the daffodil that's on the artificial turf behind second base. And then you see the scoreboard there as well for Susan McEachern Memorial Ballpark with the daffodils on it as well. The daffodil, of course, the logo of the Canadian Cancer Society. And prior to the Sooners game earlier this afternoon, Jim McEachern was actually honored for all of the work that he has done here in this community to get this event brought here and to get this ballpark to the beautiful, beautiful state that it's in. And it's certainly well deserved, the honors for Jim in memory of his wife, Susan. Taking a look at the top of the second inning, due up, it is Steve Pritchard, the left fielder, followed by Brett Boudreau, the first baseman, and Chris Moffat, the center fielder. So just to finish off the standings situation that I was talking about, Dartmouth only gave up 1 run to Elmwood and 1 run to Edmonton, so they had just 2 runs given up in the games involving the tied teams. So They finished second in the pool, best out of those three teams in that tiebreaker. That one is fouled off, and Pritchard now in the hole 0-2. Alberta, in the games involving the tied teams, gave up 6 runs, whereas Manitoba, in the games amongst the tied teams, gave up just 5 runs, and they all played almost identical number of defensive innings. But the one extra run that Alberta gave up was the difference maker, and so Elmwood is here and Edmonton is eliminated by virtue of that incredibly close tiebreaker. If the ratio for defensive runs had included the games against Windsor, who won all 3 games and finished first in the group, then Edmonton actually would have advanced and Elmwood would have been eliminated. So there was some confusion for a while this afternoon as to how the tiebreaker actually worked. Grounded down the third base line, it ends up going just foul. 2-2 the count on Pritchard. And for a while it was thought that Edmonton got through and Elmwood was eliminated, because if you had counted all of the games that the teams had played and each of their losses to Windsor, Elmwood would have been out by a single run. But as it is, they get in by a single run and get the opportunity to keep their tournament alive a little while longer. And Pritchard with a none-out walk, takes us to Brett Boudreau, who will bat with a runner on first and nobody out here in the top of the second inning, and Elmwood leading 1-0 after the RBI single by Chris Norkey back in the first. Chopped down the third base line, caught quickly by Nevison. He gets it over to second in time for one, not in time to get the double play. So Boudreau reaches on the fielder's choice, 5-4 on the putout. That'll bring up Chris Moffat, the center fielder. As you see there, Boudreau now at first base leading off. Being kept an eye on there by Lukinchuk. First pitch catches the outside corner for a strike. So the center fielder for Elmwood down in the count here, 0-1. The winner of this game will face the Windsor Stars tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And the winner of our next quarterfinal, the 8 o'clock game between the Dartmouth Mooseheads and the St. John's Capitals, the winner of that game will go on to face Charlottetown in the 1 o'clock semifinal tomorrow. And then, of course, the bronze medal game at 4 and the championship game for all the marbles, 7:30 tomorrow night. But still a lot left to play today before we even think about semis and medal games. That pitch misses high, 2-2 now for Moffat. These 2 quarterfinal games promise to be great matchups. We've been very lucky here at this ball diamond, really haven't had a major blowout. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that's the first K of the afternoon for Lukinchuk. Second out of the inning. That'll bring up Colton Boudreau. Well, we did have that 9-2 game between Windsor and Elmwood this morning. That was the widest margin we had in any game. But even that, Elmwood was battling hard and trying to stay competitive all the way through. Throw over to first, and Brett Boudreau gets back easily while Colton is at the plate. That one off the end of the bat way up high into the air, and it goes foul out beyond the first base dugout. So it's now 0-2 on Boudreau. He'll get it down to short. Not hard enough to get a double play, but there were already 2 out anyway, so what am I talking about? Throw across in time to get Colton Boudreau out at first. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 runner left on base who reached by way of a walk. And we'll go to the bottom of the second with Elmwood continuing to lead by a score of 1-0. Due up in the bottom of the second for the Sun Devils, it'll be the first baseman Evan Douglas, the right fielder Jay Huggins, and the left fielder Rob Morrison. Quick reminder that this is one of just 4 events taking place this weekend with Baseball Canada. We've got the Senior Men's National event right here in Sydney. Also being hosted in the Maritimes, the 16U Girls Invitational, and they're nearly done the round-robin portion there. The last couple of round-robin games just wrapping up before they head to their quarterfinal tonight. Just one quarterfinal game in that tournament, as it's a slightly different format with a 9-team tournament, or an 11-team tournament, excuse me. Then the 15U Ray Carter Cup is being held in Saskatoon. They're playing the last couple of round-robin games right now as well. They'll also have a quarterfinal game later tonight. And the 13U Championship being held in Windsor, Ontario. And we can tell you that in that one, they are wrapping up the round robin today, and then they'll have semifinals and medal games tomorrow. Evan Douglas standing in, the first baseman, leading off here, and he's even in the count 1-1 right now. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Set out to left center, but a bit more of a challenge than I think Pritchard thought it was going to be, as it kept tailing away from him. But Pritchard able to stay with the ball and track it down for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up right fielder Jay Huggins. Pritchard just kept going and going and going as that ball just kept drifting and drifting and drifting away from him. And now first pitch swinging, and a grounder to second, over to first. It was in time, but not caught. So Huggins will reach on the error. And we'll see if the British Columbia representatives here can take advantage of an Elmwood error. Rob Morrison coming up to bat, the left fielder. I believe they're going to call that an error on the first baseman. Brett Boudreau, not an error on the thrower from second base, Colton Boudreau. First pitch to Morrison misses, and the count goes 1-0. Fouled off, and it's 1-1. Elmwood in their white jerseys with the blue sleeves, the white word Elmwood across the front, or the red word of Elmwood across the front, and the red numbers on the back. Throw over to first, and Huggins able to get back. The Kamloops Sun Devils in the green jerseys with the orange trim and the orange logo, the Sun Devil logo a la Arizona State. That pitch misses low, ball 2-0. And the orange numbers and lettering on the back. That one a little bit off the hands, and it's going to just fall foul. Hustling to try to get in on the ball was Dan Carter, but he couldn't quite get there as it lands in foul territory. So now 2-2, the count on Morrison. The left-hander for Elmwood, Hatley, delivers the 2-2 pitch, and that catches the inside corner. And Hatley now 4 strikeouts through an inning and 2/3. That brings up David Wells, the second baseman, as Hatley just continues to mow down these Sun Devil hitters. 4 strikeouts out of 5 outs recorded. There's another strike, and the only runner who's reached base did so by an error in the defense behind. Throw over to first, and again Huggins able to get back as Hatley in the early going here, having a very strong outing. Swing and a miss. And Hatley now ahead on Wells, 0-2. Here comes the 0-2 delivery from Hatley. And that does not miss by much. 1-2 now the count, as the flag's out in center, giving an indication that we got a little bit more wind in this game than we've had in some of the previous ones this weekend. That one fouled off, fought off to get it well out of play. And we saw it on that fly ball earlier this half inning with Pritchard, as the ball just kept drifting off towards center from left field with that breeze across from left to right. Another pitch that just misses, and the count now 2-2. I gotta say, we've been pretty lucky with the weather. There was, prior to the event starting, the forecast called for nasty weather all through Thursday and nasty weather through today as well. Chopper back to the mound, and a bad throw there. And so now 2 errors committed by the Elmwood Giants, puts runners on first and second with 2 out. That'll bring up Connor McKenzie, the catcher. And that error going to the pitcher, as Braden Hatley just muffed that throw. First pitch misses inside, ball 1 to McKenzie. Yeah, the forecast prior to Thursday was, it looked like Thursday we were going to have some trouble getting games in, but then the forecast changed and the weather changed, and it turned out to be a beautiful day. Yesterday was always going to be good, and it was. Today we had chance of thunder showers in the forecast, and 4 or 5 hours of rain was what it originally was calling for. But we had a few sprinkles, and we had one heavier bit of rain that lasted about 3 or 4 minutes, and that's it. Swing and a miss there, and the count now 2-1 on McKenzie. So knock on wood that the gray skies that we do have above us, there's a little bit of blue trying to peek through, but the blue skies that we have above us, the gray skies that we have above us, hopefully don't end up causing too many issues in the quarterfinal schedule here this evening. McKenzie now 2-2 after that foul ball. As 2 on, 2 out, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The deuces wild scenario. That pitch misses high, ball 3. So a full count now to McKenzie. That means Huggins and Wells are both going to get a chance to get a running start here. with the 2-out situation and the full count. And the runners are on their way, and that one misses outside, ball 4. So 2 errors and a walk load the bases. That'll bring up Scott Nevison, the number 9 hitter, playing third base today. And they haven't had a chance to do a lot of hitting yet, have the Sun Devils. But 2 errors and a walk have been enough to get them into this situation where they are threatening. Nevison takes a first pitch strike, and the count 0-1. Hatley having to battle through here, and he gets ahead in the count 0-2 as Nevison fouls that one back. Here comes the 0-2 from the left-hander. Swing and a miss. 5th strikeout for Hatley on his first time through the order. No runs, no hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on base. We played 2 complete, and the Elmwood Giants continue to lead by a score of 1-0. We do like to try and make our broadcasts a little bit interactive here on Petter Sports and Streaming Services through AOTV. You can reach me a couple of different ways. Send me a tweet at PetterPC_sports. That's at PETTER PC_sports. You can also reach us through Facebook, facebook.com/PetterSports. Let me know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for, if you have a favorite player out there, whatever the case may be. We love finding out where people are watching from, and also this is a chance for, if I'm making any mistakes, please do correct me, because if I'm mispronouncing a player's name, I'm never doing it with any ill will or any malicious intent, obviously, but the only way I can correct an error is if I know what's happening, and that's up to you guys, the fans, to let me know when I do make a mistake. But I love hearing from you, and if it's a question, I'll try and answer it. If it's a comment, I'll try and respond to it. And if it's a correction, I'll listen to it. We head to the top of the third, and it is the top of the order for the Elmwood Giants. Nathan Christiuk, Garrett Popplestone, and Dan Carter due up as Lukanchuk, finishes his warm-up pitches. Nathan Christiuk grounded out to third his first time up. That was leading off the game back about half an hour ago now. And that one catches Christiuk on the arm. And so we'll get our first base runner of this inning with the hit by pitch. That'll bring up Garrett Popplestone. He doubled in the first, ended up coming around to score what is, at this point, the game's only run. And for Elmwood, the one issue that they have had this weekend so far has been scoring runs. As there we see the play back to first, just getting in ahead of the tag is Christiuk. Line shot just past a diving Douglas. Christiuk was going with the pitch, and he's able to get over to third on the hit and run. That'll bring up Dan Carter. He popped out to second base his first time up. A ball that almost got all the way up to the clouds, it seemed to go so high. And So he's 0 for 1 on the day. Has runners on the corners and nobody out. And sends that one almost equally high, but it's out into center field. And they will send the runner. The throw comes all the way home, but not in time as Christiuk able to come in and score. So Carter with the sac fly RBI. And that'll make it a 2-0 ball game. That'll bring up Chris Norkey. He was responsible for the first run as he had an RBI single that drove in Popplestone back in the first. As the Elmwood Giants now lead at 2-0. Grounder down to first. Throw to the second base for the first out, and back in time. The 3-6-4, or the 3-6-1 double play, excuse me, as Lukinchuk got over to cover the bag. So Douglas to Wilson to Lukinchuk on a nice play there defensively by the Kamloops Sun Devils, but not before the Elmwood Giants get 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, and no runners left on base. We've played 2.5, and it's now Elmwood leading 2-0. We'll head to the bottom of the third, where it's the top of the Kamloops order due up: Taylor Van Ham, Gus Wilson, and Eric Herbranson. Norquay instead of Norkey. My apologies, as I got a message from V saying, watching my brother catch while at work, go Nathan. And then as a Nova Scotian, when I see Quay, I think of key as in like the key at the harbor. But if it's pronounced Norquay, I do apologize. Thank you, V, for letting me know that. And again, I apologize to the entire family. I never meant to cause any disrespect or to give any disrespect or anything like that. And Taylor Van Ham leading off here in the bottom of the third. Van Ham, one of the 5 strikeout victims so far. And takes a first pitch strike, 0-1. Braden Hatley just absolutely dynamite on the mound so far. Looping curveball misses low, and the count goes to 1-1. Swung on and missed, and it's 1-2. And V, if you're at work, I appreciate you having the game on. I hope you don't get in trouble for having the game on while you're working. And whatever it is that you do that you have to work on a Saturday, your efforts are much appreciated. Of course, I'm working on a Saturday too, but sitting watching a baseball game and having to talk about it isn't really work. Hatley loses the grip on that one as he tried to throw the breaking ball just a little bit outside, but it ended up going, as the old line from the movie Major League, just a bit outside. And that one misses outside as well for ball 4, so a leadoff walk puts a runner on first for Gus Wilson. He also struck out back in that first inning. So Wilson working with a runner on base in front of him, and Van Ham with a pretty aggressive lead. Wilson drops down the bunt. Hatley gets to it. Only play is to pitch it over to first base where Brett Boudreau was there waiting for it. But the sacrifice 1-3 does move Van Ham into scoring position. And that'll bring up Eric Herbranson. He struck out in the first. You won't get in trouble, you're the manager. Good to know, V. That one misses high and inside, ball one. As Van Ham in scoring position here. Runner going, and Christiuk not able to make the transfer cleanly, and that allows Van Ham to get in with the steal uncontested. And I believe that pitch was also called a ball, so 2-0. And that one sent foul down the left field line. Or that the pitch that the steal was on was called a strike, so the count is actually now 1-2. See, if I worked for one of those great big companies that has, multi-million-dollar productions, I'd have somebody who'd be just watching the umpire while I could watch what happened on a stolen base. But we don't quite have... We're not quite there. 2-2 now the count on Herbranson. Chopped down and knocked down by the second baseman. Boudreau gets it over to his brother Boudreau in time. But Herbranson will get an RBI on the ground out. As Taylor Van Ham does come in to score, it's now 2-1. And now 2 away for the first baseman, Evan Douglas. He flew out to left his first time up. First pitch misses outside, ball one. That one also missing outside, 2-0 now the count on Evan Douglas, the Kamloops first baseman. That one catches the outside corner, and it's now 2-1. Reminder, this is the first of 2 quarterfinal games. The other quarterfinal later at 8 o'clock tonight will feature Dartmouth and St. John's. So we got an all-Western quarterfinal, Manitoba and BC. We'll have an all-Eastern quarterfinal, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland Labrador. There's a swing and a miss, 2-2 the count. Meanwhile, Prince Edward Island awaits the winner of the Eastern semi, and Windsor awaits the winner of the Western semi. I feel like I'm setting up the CFL playoffs here. That one knocked down at short by Popplestone. Gets up, gets the throw, and gets the out. Great play by Popplestone, making the diving snag, getting up and firing that ball across the diamond for out number 3. But not before Kamloops does get 1 run on no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. They were able to take advantage of that walk to get the 1 run, and that'll bring us through 3 complete. Elmwood leads still, but slightly less now. The score is 2-1. Kyle Armstrong, Steve Pritchard, and Brett Boudreau due up for Elmwood in the top of the 4th. And as we get ready for the top of the 4th inning, I just want to take an opportunity personally to thank the organizing committee here up in Sydney for bringing in Petter Sports and streaming services through AOTV to be here for this event. It's been a fantastic weekend, great baseball, wonderful hospitality, as it always is every time I come to Cape Breton. My wife and I live in Pictou County on the Northumberland shore on mainland Nova Scotia. Chance to come to Cape Breton, we jumped at it. Kyle Armstrong steps in. He's 0 for 1 after grounding out to end the first inning. Comes up this time to lead off an inning. And takes the first pitch ball, 1-0. The delivery from Lukinchuk misses low and outside, ball 2-0. The right-hander gets set and delivers again. This time he gets Armstrong to chase, and it's 2-1. Lukinchuk has pretty good movement on his pitches. That one misses down low, 3-1. And here comes that 3-1 pitch. Grounded to third, gathered up by Nevison across the diamond in time for the first out of the top of the fourth inning. As you can see, the throw beat Armstrong by about a step and a half. That brings up Steve Pritchard. He walked and was thrown out on a fielder's choice. That was in the second inning. First pitch to Pritchard misses outside and low. As a little bit of dirt getting into the glove of Connor McKenzie there. Or not dirt, but that pebbling that's in the artificial surfaces these days, that black pebbling. Grounder right down to Nevison again, and another throw across, and another out, almost a carbon copy of the first one. Slightly closer play at first this time, as you could see on the replay there, but still 2 up, 2 down. That brings up Brett Boudreau. Boudreau grounded into a fielder's choice his first time up, so he's 0 for 1. And takes a first pitch strike, 0-1 the count. For the Giants, I was starting to talk about it a little bit earlier. They've scored just 4 runs in their 3 pool games, but able to make it into the quarterfinals by virtue of one of those 4 runs being the solo home run in the 1-0 win over Dartmouth. And their defensive numbers were good enough to give them that tiebreaker edge over the Edmonton Cubs. But they're going to need a little bit more offense than that. They've already gotten as many runs in this game, too, as they did in any of the games in pool play. They lost to Ontario, to Windsor, 9-2. Scored 1 in their loss to Edmonton, 5-1, and that run that they scored actually is the defensive run that Edmonton gave up that made the difference. And that one launched to deep left field, going back and making the catch right at the wall is Rob Morrison, just in front of the 340 sign, which tells you how far it is to the alley in left center. It's 340. 325 down the lines to both foul poles here at Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field. It's also 340 in the alley in right center, and then straight away center field, 355 feet from home plate to the wall. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left in the top of the fourth. A 3-up, 3-down inning. That brings us to the bottom of 4. And it'll be Jay Huggins, Rob Morrison, and David Wells coming up to bat for the Kamloops Sun Devils. And if anybody gets on, then it'll continue with Connor McKenzie, the catcher. As this game moving along at a very good clip. And again, a reminder, 8 o'clock tonight Atlantic time is our next semifinal. The East semi, as Dartmouth takes on St. John's. Jay Huggins comes up. He reached on an error his first time up, so 0 for 1 on the afternoon, technically. Afternoon / into the evening here. Takes a first pitch strike, 0-1. Of course, in Kamloops, it's still early afternoon. That one fouled right back into the screen in the count, 0-2. Manitoba, it's quarter to 4 right now, or 10 to 4 right now. Swing and a miss, strike 3. The ball goes into the dirt. So Krischuk has to come out and make the throw down to first and gets the ball there in plenty of time. That's the 6th strikeout of the afternoon for Hatley. That'll bring up Rob Morrison. He is one of those 6 strikeout victims so far. And Hatley throwing heat down the outside corner on that pitch, and the count goes to 0-1. That one will miss low, and it's 1-1. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Swung on and missed, and it's 1-2. Hatley has been a paragon of efficiency here this afternoon. Chopped foul down the first base line. It'll remain 1-2. Hatley not wasting a lot of time in between pitches. Efficient with his time and efficient with his pitch count as well. He gets up there, he throws strikes, he challenges batters, and that has shown well for him. That one fouled way up high into the air, and Krischuk able to find it. Gets that mask thrown well out of his way so that he was able to get himself positioned to make that catch for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up David Wells. He reached on an error his first time up, so he's also 0 for 1. Just 4 batters have reached base for the Sun Devils, 2 by way of errors and 2 by way of walks so far this afternoon. First pitch misses outside, ball 1, 1-0. The 1-0 pitch misses inside, and the count goes to 2-0. Back away from the outside corner of the plate, and it's a 3-0 count now on the second baseman for Kamloops. I've been to Kamloops once in my life. I was about 11 or 12 years old, as a 4-pitch walk for Wells gets him down to first base. I remember absolutely loving the city. Connor McKenzie comes up. He's one of those now 3 walks that have been given up by Hatley. That the one to Wells just seconds ago was the 3rd. So McKenzie steps in with 2 out and 1 on. First pitch to McKenzie misses just a little bit outside. Swing and a miss, and it's now 1-1. Can't say that I have ever been to Elmwood, Manitoba, though. Manitoba is one of the few provinces that I haven't spent a lot of time in. I've driven through it a couple of times, but that pitch misses outside. I've never been to Newfoundland and Labrador, and I've never really spent a lot of time in Manitoba. Other than that, lived in BC for a while, lived in Alberta a lot of time growing up, lived in Saskatchewan, lived in Ontario, visited my grandparents in Quebec a bit, and of course been all through the Maritimes, living here for the last, 17, 18 years now? 17 years. That pitch misses, and back-to-back walks puts runners on first and second for Scott Nevison. As he comes up, he's 0 for 1, and we'll get a meeting at the mound here to just try and settle Hatley down a little bit, and we see that a pitcher is heading down to the Elmwood bullpen to warm up, and I believe that's Anthony Friesen who is going to get warm. Trying to get a look at the number and confirm. It is indeed Friesen who is warming up out there. So runners at first and second. Friesen pitched 2 innings in this morning's game. Gave up 6 runs in that first inning in that game against Windsor. So the good news for Friesen is he didn't use a lot of pitches, so probably still has plenty left in the arm. But he also did pitch the opening game on Thursday, and he pitched a complete game. Or no, he came in relief, and pitched 3 innings on Thursday. Swing and a miss there by Nevison, and the count goes to 1-1. I don't know if he pitched in yesterday's game, as that was over at the other field, but 5 innings. That one sounded like the bat broke a little bit, and that probably worked to Kamloops' advantage as the ball was able to drop in. Wells comes home to score all the way from second. The throw home allows Nevison to get to second. Connor McKenzie, who was running with the contact as there are 2 out, gets all the way to third. So it's now runners at second and third with 2 out, and we're back around to the top of the order for Taylor Van Ham. He struck out in the first, walked, and came around to score in the third. And that hit by Nevison, the first hit given up by Hatley this afternoon. That one just misses, and the count goes to 1-1. Goes to 2-0, my apologies. That one misses outside, 3-0. And it looks like Friesen is ready to go. He's no longer warming up there. As mentioned, he did throw 2 innings this morning. There's a called strike, and the count goes 3-1. this, of course, being an elimination game. Another walk loads the bases. So a quick 2 outs to start the inning, but then Hatley, 3 walks and a single, brings 1 run in, and now we are going to get the pitching change, as after a stellar start, 6 strikeouts over the 3 2/3 innings, but then the wheels just started to come off, unfortunately for Hatley. And for the 3rd time on this diamond, we're going to see Anthony Friesen. As the left-hander, comes on. We mentioned he threw 3 innings in the game against Dartmouth, and that was 3 perfect innings, striking out 3, getting 4 ground outs and 2 pop outs, faced the minimum number of batters, and it was 3 up, 3 down in each of the 5th, 6th, and 7th innings, so picked up the win in that game as well. And then this morning, as we mentioned, he gave up 6 runs in 2 innings of work, striking out 1, giving up 7 hits, including a 2-run home run in that game, and he got stuck with the loss, so has a win-loss record of 1-1. And the first batter that he will face is the shortstop Gus Wilson, who is 0 for 1, struck out in the first, a sacrifice bunt in the third. And Wilson steps in with the bases loaded and 2 away. First pitch from Friesen, pulled foul. And it's an 0-1 count. Tie ball game here, bottom of the 4th inning. And you know that both coaches are thinking about finding that balance between making sure you win this game and making sure you've got arms for tomorrow as well. There's a strike, and it's 0-2. As Friesen with that huge break on his curveball. The ball seems to get about 5 or 6 feet of break, it almost looks like. Grounder down to second. Gathered in easily there by Boudreau, who flips it to Boudreau. Colton flipping to his brother Brett for the 3rd out of the inning. So Friesen comes in and gets his team out of the jam, but not before we get 1 run on 1 hit. There were no errors, and the bases left loaded for the 2nd time this game by the Sun Devils. And we played 4 complete innings, and we're all tied up at 2 runs apiece. Due up in the top of the 5th for Elmwood, it'll be Chris Moffat, Colton Boudreau, and Nathan Christiuk. Elmwood is an area within Winnipeg. Okay. Not an actual city or town itself in Manitoba. Thank you very much to Laura Renaud for the geography lesson. The team is from Winnipeg, and I've driven through the city a couple times, but like I say, I've never really spent a lot of time in any parts of Manitoba. Have some friends from Manitoba. I used to work for a theater company that had two locations, one in Edmonton and one in Winnipeg. And shows would run for 2 months in Winnipeg, and then that same show would move to Edmonton and run for 2 months. And I worked with that theater company, and so some of the cast would be from Winnipeg, some of the cast would be from Edmonton. In every show, there'd be a split of Winnipeggers and Edmontonians. Is that the right term? Winnipeggers? And so I've got a few friends from that city. And again, I want to send a thanks to everybody watching, wherever you're tuning in from. We really do appreciate having you along for the ride. If you guys weren't watching, we wouldn't have a job to do, so it really is appreciated. Chris Moffat coming up. He's 0 for 1. The only strikeout on the day so far delivered by Lukinchuk. And a foul tip on the first pitch, and the count goes 0-1. All tied up at 2 apiece. 2 runs on 3 hits for Elmwood, 2 runs on 1 hit for Kamloops. Elmwood also has committed 2 errors on the scoreline. That one fouled, so they're sitting at 2-3-2, while Kamloops at 2-1-0. 0-2 the count on Moffat. And did he go? Yes, he did. So Moffat goes down swinging. That's the second strikeout for Lukinchuk. The appeal down to first base, and the first base umpire said, yes, indeed, he did go around. That'll bring up Colton Boudreau. He grounded out to short his first time up. First pitch misses high, ball 1. Elmwood with 1 in the first, 1 in the third. Kamloops with 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth. That one sent into the Kamloops dugout, and the count goes 1-1. Boudreau, the second baseman, stepping in. That one high in the air, shallow right field. Coming in and making the call was Jay Huggins, as backing out was David Wells, but Wells able to hear Huggins call him off. And Huggins makes the catch for the second out of the inning. That brings us back to the top of the order. Nathan Krischuk. And I hope I am saying that one right. And Krischuk 0 for 1. He grounded out to third and then was hit by a pitch, ended up coming around to score that time. Takes the first pitch strike, and the count 0-1. Second offering misses low, and the Elmwood catcher now has a 1-1 count. That one misses outside, and the count 2-1. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Lukinchuk also working quickly, not wasting any time. That one fouled off, and it remains 2-2. We're into the 5th inning, and we've been going for just an hour and 8 minutes. And as much as I am a fan of Major League Baseball, some games in the majors, in an hour and 8 minutes, you're lucky to have gotten through 2 full innings. But right here, another strikeout. That's the third time that Lukinchuk has been able to get an Elmwood batter catching him swinging. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll head to the bottom of the 5th, and we are tied 2-2. Due up in the bottom of the 5th inning for the Sun Devils, it'll be Herbranson, the DH, Douglas, the first baseman, and Huggins, the right fielder. And just heard it announced, Lukinchuk, 59 pitches through 5 innings. That's a very good pitch count. And obviously, like I said before, one of the keys to success in a tournament format like this is to be able to manage your pitching, and having a pitcher eat up innings without taking up a huge pitch count. That's a big way to find that success, and that has been the case for Lukinchuk certainly today. As Anthony Friesen back out there on the mound after coming in to get the last out of the fourth inning. Herbrandson steps in. He's 0 for 2 with an RBI, struck out in the first, grounded out in the third, but did drive in a run on that play. And the first pitch taken for a strike, 0-1. The lefty Friesen delivers quickly, and that one misses outside, 1-1. I know we don't have a pitch clock here, but we've seen the pitch clock brought in some levels of minor league baseball. That one sent out to deep center field, and it goes off the wall. Moffett collides with the wall as he tried to bring the ball in, but not able to find it, and that's going to be a leadoff double from Herbrandson. That'll bring up Evan Douglas. Douglas 0 for 2 with a flyout and a groundout. So a leadoff double here for Herbrandson as the Sun Devils get a runner in scoring position right off the get-go. They scored in the third, they scored in the fourth, and now they have a man in scoring position in the fifth in this tie ball game. Pitch misses high and outside, ball one. Give Moffett credit though, he made a great effort on that ball, just could not pull it in as he collided with the fence in right center, or left center, excuse me. Another pitch to Douglas, misses high, 2-0. And running full on into a chain link fence like that, and it looked like he got one of the support poles as well, not just any old spot on that fence. He got a support pole. So hopefully he doesn't look to be any the worse for the wear. 2-1 the count here on Douglas now. Looping curveball misses outside and maybe a bit high. 3-1. As Friesen gets himself set and delivers. That one out to right field. Coming in hard and not making the catch was Norquay. Herbrandson had to wait to find out whether that ball was caught or not, so he's only able to get as far as third base. That'll bring up Jay Huggins. He reached on an error and struck out, so he's 0 for 2. We'll have to wait and see how that play is ruled. It's ruled as a hit, as Douglas had to go as Norquay had to go a long way to try and catch it. This one popped up high in the air, foul territory, first base side, and it will stay in play and be caught. Brett Boudreau making the catch as both he and Nathan Christiuk were over there in foul territory, first base side. So that's the first out of the inning. Runners still at the corners. That'll bring up Rob Morrison. He's 0 for 2. Struck out in the second and popped out to the catcher in foul territory in the fourth. And takes the first pitch strike at the knees, 0-1. And that's a big out because now Elmwood can get a double play to get out of this inning without any damage if they can get a good ground ball to cooperate with them. Swing and a miss there, and it's 0-2. Friesen steps off, now gets himself reset again. The 1-2 misses low, 2-2. Or sorry, that was an 0-2, misses low, 1-2. Swing and a miss for a strikeout. That's the first strikeout from Friesen, the 7th overall for Elmwood pitching. Brings up David Wells. He reached on an error and then walked. And when he walked, he came around to score. So technically 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. Comes up with runners on the corners and 2 away. Takes the first pitch strike. 0-1 the count. Here comes the 0-1. Chopped just foul down the first base side. That'll make it 0-2. The 0-2 pitch from Friesen. That one's in the dirt. Good block there by Krischuk. And that'll make it 1-2. Krischuk, sorry. Thank you, V. Krischuk. Okay. Grounder to second. Gathered up by Boudreau. Boudreau to Boudreau. That combination works again. So the leadoff double followed by the single do not come back to hurt Elmwood. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 runners left on base. We've played 5 complete. We'll head to the 6th with this game score is tied. I speak English. Really, I do. 2-2 going into the 6th. Due up in the top of the 6th, it'll be Popplestone, Carter, and Norquay. As we get ready for the 6th inning, I'm just going to turn off my microphone here for just a second. There we go. Welcome back to beautiful Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field in Sydney. We had a little bit of blue sky there for a minute, but it looks like more clouds are starting to roll in. We'll have to wait and see what they bring. Doesn't look like they're going to bring too much of anything, but fingers crossed we'll be able to keep things going. Knock on wood, we've yet to have any delays or scheduling issues from games running long or anything like that. The one game that did run quite long involving Kamloops and St. John's last night. Fortunately, it was the last game of the day last night. Roller down to third. Nevinson hustles in to get to the ball and gets there in time to throw out Popplestone at first. And you can see the throw beats him by about 3/4 of a step, somewhere in there. That brings up Dan Carter. He's 0 for 1 with a sacrifice fly RBI. So takes the first pitch strike, 0-1. I know I'm tempting fate every time I talk about it, but the fact that we have been able to stay very well on schedule all weekend so far, making things a lot easier, and we appreciate Mother Nature's cooperation on that. The 0-2 pitch fought off by Carter. Looked like it was coming inside, and Carter started to swing, and once he did, he had to do a little dance as he was swinging to get contact with that one. But it remains 0-2. Swing and a miss. And that's the 4th strikeout for Colby Lukinchuk here this afternoon. That brings up Chris Norquay with an RBI single and grounding into a double play, so he's 1 for 2 with a run batted in. Comes up here with nobody on. And 2 away, and the first pitch to Norquay misses outside, ball 1. The left-handed hitting right fielder takes another one just a bit outside, just off the edge of the plate, and so it's now 2-0. Swing and a miss there. Big cut as he looking to duplicate his heroics of Thursday, it looked like, but not able to do so there. Takes one down and in, and the count goes to 3-1. Three balls and a strike. The delivery grounded right at the first baseman, Douglas. He gets it and flips over to Lukinchuk to finish off the 1-2-3 inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll go to the bottom of 6 with the score still 2 apiece. Due up in the bottom of the 6th for Kamloops, it'll be the catcher Connor McKenzie, the third baseman Scott Nevison, and the center fielder Taylor Van Ham. Again, at 8 o'clock tonight, that's 8 Atlantic time, we'll have the Dartmouth Mooseheads and the St. John's Capitals in the other semifinal. The winner of that game will go on to face the Charlottetown Islanders in the 1 o'clock semifinal tomorrow. As we get ready for the bottom of 6, Connor McKenzie will lead off. He's been up to the plate twice and walked both times. So the on-base percentage running perfect in this game. The batting average, though, doesn't exist because he's had no official at-bats, just 2 plate appearances. First pitch misses high and away, ball 1. The next offering from Friesen swung on and missed, and it's now 1-1. McKenzie gets a piece of that one and sends it way out into foul territory, out of play past everything on the first base side. This one will stay in play in shallow right field. Coming over to make the catch is the second baseman Colton Boudreau for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Scott Nevison, the third baseman. He's 1 for 2 with a strikeout and an RBI single. Shows bunt and gets the bunt down, but pushed it a little too hard, and so... Or no, he's safe! He avoided the tag and got his hand down on the base. What a play by Scott Nevison. Somehow avoids getting tagged by Brett Boudreau. The acrobatic Scott Nevison with an infield single, putting down the bunt, pushed it far enough away from the baseline that as Boudreau picked it up, Boudreau swiped at Nevison to make the tag but missed him. And then Nevison goes down and gets his hand on the bag. What a wild play there. So 1 on, 1 out in the top of the order, Taylor Van Ham. He's 0 for 1 with a pair of walks and a run scored today. And the pitch to Van Ham misses inside. It's 2-0. You could see Boudreau when that play ended. He looked at the umpire like he was trying to get the call for Nevison leaving the baseline, but he stayed close enough that that call wasn't going to go. 2-1 now the count as Van Ham took a strike. Here as we play in the bottom of the 6th inning of a tie ball game. There's a strike and it's 2-2. And it's time for our Captain Obvious statement of the game. Next run's a big one. Thanks, John, for that incredible insight. Runner going. Throw down is airmailed into center field, and that's going to allow Nevison to get all the way to third. So the stolen base gets Nevison to second, and the throwing error gets him to third. It was a strikeout, however, happening at the same time, so Van Ham is out. And Gus Wilson comes up. He's 0 for 2 with a sacrifice. And he loops that, or not loops, lines that one out into center field, and that will allow Nevison to come in to score. And so now the Kamloops Sun Devils have the lead in the bottom of the 6th inning. It's their first lead of the game. And now, next inning, when Elmwood comes up to bat, they're going to need to score to tie this game back up again. Eric Herbranson comes up now. He's 1 for 3 with a double and an RBI. Takes the first pitch for a ball, and the count 1-0. Friesen steps off and now delivers a pitch inside to Herbranson, and the count goes to 2-0. Wilson with A good secondary lead. That one into left field and just comes down foul. Didn't miss the left field line by much. Pritchard was on his horse to get over there. Couldn't quite get there before the ball hit the ground, but fortunately for Elmwood, it does land in foul territory, and so it's just a loud strike. 2-1 now the count. 2 away here, bottom of the 6th inning. Kamloops now leading 3-2. That one roped out to right field, and Wilson all the way to third gets in easily, and that will bring up Evan Douglas. Douglas 1 for 3 on the afternoon. Transitioning to evening here in beautiful Cape Breton Regional Municipality. And we're going to get a pinch runner, it looks like. For Herbrenson, it's going to be Brendan Muha. So Muha comes in to pinch run. And I asked Brendan himself about the pronunciation of his name prior to the first game that Kamloops had here earlier this afternoon. He was the one player I was able to stop and double check on pronunciation for. And that one launched into left field, but it'll come down just shy of the warning track right into the glove of Steve Pritchard. However, the Kamloops Sun Devils, with one very huge run on 3 hits, there was 1 throwing error and 2 runners left on base, will go to the top of 7. Elmwood needs 1 to tie, 2 to take a lead, and it's going to be up to the 5, 6, and 7 hitters, Kyle Armstrong, Steve Pritchard, and Brett Boudreau, to find an equalizer for the Elmwood Giants. Out to finish what he started is Colby Lukenchuk, and I don't see any action in the Kamloops bullpen. So it looks like Lukenchuk is going to be How long do games stay on demand? That was okay. Apparently, we got this question from in the dugout for Kamloops. The games stay on demand for, I believe it's 2 weeks. I know we wait 2 weeks for the games to be put onto YouTube. They will get put onto YouTube eventually, but they remain on demand for 2 weeks. So here's Armstrong. He's 0 for 2. Takes the first pitch ball, 1-0. Now 2-0. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. Catches the inside corner, and it's 2-1. Armstrong just having a quick chat with the umpire to make sure that that was the inside corner. The next pitch misses low, ball 3-1 now. The count on the DH. Armstrong takes the 3-1 pitch, and it's down the middle for a 3-2 count. The payoff pitch coming from Lukinchuk, and that'll miss inside, ball 4. So the potential tying run gets to first base. That'll bring up Steve Pritchard. Pritchard 0 for 1 with a walk this afternoon. And a reminder again, our next game, 8 o'clock, Dartmouth and St. John's. We'd love to have you come back and join us for that one. That promises to be a very entertaining ball game, as all of the games have been here this weekend. We've had very good baseball, high quality, close games. That pitch misses outside, ball 1. Here comes the 1-0. That one just catches the inside corner, 1-1. Change up from Lukinchuk. Fools Pritchard a little bit there. Had his knees buckled just a touch. Here comes the 1-1 offering from Lukinchuk, and that one's skied. Infield fly rule in effect, and it's caught easily by David Wells. So Pritchard not able to advance the runner. That'll bring up Brett Boudreau. He's 0 for 2, reached on a fielder's choice and flew out in his 2 previous at-bats. First pitch misses high, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Again, the winner of this game will advance to play Windsor tomorrow at 10 a.m. Atlantic time. So if it is indeed Kamloops, for you out in BC, that'll be a 6 a.m. start. But it's not over yet. That one, shallow left field. Out to get it is the shortstop Gus Wilson for the second out. And now Elmwood is down to their final out, but like I say, it's not over yet. Chris Moffat will be taken out for a pinch hitter. Justin Voth will come in to hit. With the Elmwood tournament and season on the line, takes a strike. And the count 0-1 on Justin Voth, the Elmwood pinch hitter. Voth came in and pinch hit this morning as well. Flew out in that situation. Right now he's got a 1-1 count. And I don't believe Voth appeared. No, he did not appear in the game on Thursday. That one misses low, and the count now 2-1. Potential tying run standing at first base, but 2 away here, top of the 7th inning. A called strike 2, and Elmwood Giants down to their final strike. Voth hoping to keep his team's chances alive. Takes one down in the dirt, and the count goes full, 3-2. So Armstrong will be taking off with the pitch with 3 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. Here comes the payoff delivery to Voth, and grounded just past the first baseman Douglas, and with the runner going, he'll be able to get all the way around to third easily. Puts runners at the corners. That'll bring up Colton Boudreau. He's 0 for 2. Ground out and flew out. And we're going to get a meeting at the mound here, as I'm sure they want to talk over how they want to deal with the defense with the first and third situation. If the runner from first goes, are you going to throw through, or are you going to fake the throw through? How are you going to deal with it? And obviously, that run at first base is significant because that's the potential lead run. But the run that's absolutely vital right now is the one standing 90 feet away from home plate at third base. That's the run that would tie this game and keep it going. But it's up to Colton Boudreau. Runner not going on the first pitch, and Boudreau takes a strike, 0-1. Lukinchuk looks in, gets set, and delivers. Runner not going again. Ball hit out to center field. That's going to drop in, and we've got ourselves a tie ball game yet again. Colton Boudreau coming up with the RBI single to tie up this game in the top of the seventh. Runners now at first and second, so now the potential go-ahead run standing at second base, and that'll bring up Nathan Christuk. I hope I got it right that time. Christuk stands in, and that chopper just gets over the head of Lukinchuk, and an infield single for Christuk as he's able to beat it out. And so the bases are loaded, keeping this inning going for Garrett Popplestone. Popplestone standing in with the potential lead run at third, 2 away, top of the seventh. Swing and a miss, strike one. I tell you, if you cannot enjoy this ball game, you cannot enjoy baseball. This has been a fantastic game. We've had good pitching, we've had good hitting, we've had good running, we've had some nice defense, and we've got ourselves a tie ball game in the top half of the last inning. That one down to second, gathered in by Wells, over to first in time, and we'll go to the bottom of the seventh with the score tied up at 3. A huge run on 3 hits. There were no errors, and 3 runners left on base. We'll go to the bottom of 7, and we are tied 3-3 between the Kamloops Sun Devils and the Elmwood Giants here at the 2022 Men's Baseball Canada National Championship Tournament. Due up in the bottom of the 7th for Kamloops, Jay Huggins, Rob Morrison, and David Wells. We've seen one game end in walk-off fashion on this field, and it involved Elmwood. They won that game in walk-off fashion. Are we going to see another game end with a walk-off in the bottom of the 7th, or are we going to go for extras? It's going to be Anthony Friesen. He was the pitcher of record when Elmwood won in the walk-off on Thursday. And he's out there to pitch the 7th here tonight. This is intense. This is such exciting baseball. So much fun to watch these games, to watch these great athletes. And these are guys who are playing for the love of the game. They're not in it for big contracts. They're not in it to make a million or make millions of dollars. $1 million is almost chump change nowadays in Major League Baseball. They're in it because they love to play. The fact that they get to come across the country and see Cape Breton certainly a bonus for them this year. And again, it's been a long time coming to get this tournament here. Sydney was originally booked to host this tournament in 2020. And then, of course, we had all of the issues with COVID, and so no event in 20, no event in 21, and Sydney finally was able to get the hosting to happen here this summer. And the organizing committee, like I said, they've done a great job, and allowing me to be here for this. I'm just so thrilled. Jay Huggins up to the plate. He's 0 for 3. Strikeout, a pop out, and reached on an error, and takes a first pitch strike, 0-1. Friesen, the lefty, delivers. That one popped up left side or right side of the infield. Camped underneath it is the first baseman Boudreau. And Brett Boudreau makes the catch for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Rob Morrison. He's 0 for 3, struck out twice. As Friesen sets and delivers. That one launched into the gap in left center. Knocked down with a nice play there was, I believe that's Voth, who stayed in the game after pinch hitting for Moffat. And so Morrison with a long, loud single. That'll bring up David Wells. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. As we've got time called here. Looks like we're going to get a pinch runner to come in for Morrison. And it will be Devin Heck coming in to run. So the potential game-winning run now in the feet of Devin Heck. So Heck at first, David Wells at the plate. Wells takes the first pitch, strike, 0-1. The lefty, Friesen, able to keep an eye on Heck and throws over. Not much on that throw, so Heck able to get back easily. Now Friesen gets himself set again. And delivers. Swung on and fouled off. And the count 0-2. We did have one game go to extra innings earlier in this tournament, and it did involve these same Kamloops Sun Devils, and that was their game against the St. John's Capitals last night. That was over at the Diamond in New Waterford. Grounder to third, and it ends up handcuffing the third baseman, Carter. And that's a huge error by Carter, putting the winning run at second base with Connor McKenzie coming up. McKenzie 0 for 1 with a pair of walks. One away, and the game-winning run stands at second for the Kamloops catcher. Fouled off, 0-1 the count. Winner gets Windsor Stars tomorrow at 10 a.m. Atlantic time. The pitch. Curveball misses inside. 1-1 now, the count. Scott Nevinson waits in the on-deck circle. Nevinson scored the run that gave Kamloops their first lead of the game back in the 6th inning. That one Sent out to left field. Going back and making the catch at the wall is Pritchard, and the throw back into second base, not in time, but way off of his bag was the runner from first base, David Wells. He will get doubled off, and we are going to extra innings. The big throw from from Steve Pritchard out in left field. Or I think maybe Garrett Graham was out there playing out there now. I'll have to double check that. But either way, 7-6-3 on the double play. And we will go to an extra inning here in this quarterfinal. With the score tied 3-3, no runs, 1 hit, 1 error, and 1 runner left on base. Not sure what the delay is here. So we'll go to the 8th. And I think they're just talking about whether we're going to the format with the runner on second base to start an extra inning because it's a quarterfinal game. I don't know what they did in the game yesterday. But whatever the case, the Kamloops Sun Devils waiting to take the field. Not sure why we're waiting. And my camera person, my lovely wife Karen, down by the third base dugout, seeing if she can maybe get some information from the Kamloops team there as to what exactly we're waiting for here. Turning on the lights. Okay. So, all right, that makes sense. It is getting a little bit darker out there now, so we're waiting for the lights to get on so that. And that makes perfect sense. So you don't want one team to have an unfair. We don't want either team to have an unfair advantage or an unfair disadvantage because of different visual. So, yeah, that makes sense. So while we wait, the umpires asked Kamloops to stay in the dugout is the information I'm getting. Again, a huge thank you to my wife Karen for getting that information for us from the Kamloops dugout. Again, while we wait, let's bring up those social media addresses again if we could, guys, to remind people to keep this broadcast interactive. The Twitter handle @PetterPC_sports. The Facebook page, facebook.com/PetterSports. Again, I am Michael Petter. The Petter is my last name. Petter Sports and Streaming Services is my true passion project as I get to travel around much of Nova Scotia and watch sports and then talk about them. Doesn't get much better than that. But I'd love to talk about these games with you as well. So send me a tweet, send me a Facebook message while we're waiting for them to get the lights on here. In the meantime, we'll also just let Freddie run things for a little while. Don't know how well my mic's picking it up, but it is the late, great Freddie with the vocals that cannot be duplicated. And while we're waiting for this as well, I'm just going to step away from my microphone for just a moment, folks. So I will be right back. All right, so it looks like the sun is poked out from the clouds enough that we're going to continue anyway without the lights being on quite yet. We'll see how, just having an 8th inning stretch, exactly. V, I just had to run away from the booth for a moment. When you're alone in the booth, those brief departures are a little bit more noticeable. When there's a crew that's got 2, sometimes 3 guys in it, one person can slip away and the other 2, or the other 1, however many, can keep talking, and it isn't quite as noticeable, but such is the peril of being a lone broadcaster. But indeed, we got the 8th inning stretch in, and now we're going to get the 8th inning underway. Dan Carter stepping in. He is 0 for 2 with an RBI this afternoon, into this evening now. And he takes a first pitch strike to get the extra inning underway. Swing and a miss, and it's 0-2. And as of right now, now a 2-2 count and a swing and a miss and a strikeout. As still out there is Colby Lukinchuk. That's his 5th strikeout, now having thrown 7 1/3 innings. Oops. What's going on there? Oop, there we go. That'll bring up Chris Norquay. First pitch to Norquay misses outside, 1-0. And again, as I look down into the bullpen area for Kamloops, doesn't seem to be any activity there. So Lukinchuk will just keep going as long as they need him to. If we start to get to 9, maybe 10 innings, they may have to look at bringing him out, depending on what his pitch count gets up to. 2-1 right now, the count on Norquay. But as of right now, Lukinchuk is the man of the hour for the Kamloops Sun Devils. Gets Norquay to chase there, and the count runs full. Of course, Norquay already with one game-winning home run earlier. There come the lights. There we go. And that pitch misses low. They appeal, and no, they don't even have to appeal. The umpire behind home plate says he swung. And so that's going to be another strikeout, now the 6th for Lukinchuk, and that'll bring up Kyle Armstrong. Armstrong 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. And takes a strike on the outside corner, 0-1. Takes the next pitch high, and the count goes to 1-1. Takes another strike, and it's 1-2. Armstrong grounded out in the first, grounded out in the fourth, walked and scored the game-tying run in the 7th. Grounds to short, ball gathered in by Wilson. Strong throw across, and just hanging on to the bag was Evan Douglas. Great play by Douglas to keep his foot in contact with the bag. Or actually, that wasn't Douglas, excuse me. That was Jay Huggins now playing first. So there have been some defensive changes. And I just heard the pitch count for Lukinchuk now up to 107. Is that right? And again, we didn't catch any of the defensive changes there for Kamloops, but it looked like it was Jay Huggins playing first base who was able to keep his foot on the bag there. Due up for Kamloops in the bottom of the 8th inning, it's going to be 9-1-2. That's Scott Nevison, Taylor Van Ham, and Gus Wilson. As Anthony Friesen remains out there for the Elmwood Giants. Scott Nevison stepping in. He's 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run scored as well. Swings and misses at the first offering from Friesen. And Friesen quickly ahead in the count, 0-1. Pitch misses inside and low, 1-1 now. Here comes the 1-1. Fouled back into the screen, and it's 1-2. 3-3 tie, bottom of the 8th inning of this quarterfinal matchup between the Manitoba representatives, Elmwood Giants, and the BC representatives, the Kamloops Sun Devils. Winner gets to play against the Ontario team, the Windsor Stars, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Chopped, and it goes foul, so the count remains 2-2. Or 3-2, excuse me. As according to what I'm seeing here, Graham is now playing left field, so he came in to replace Heck, who pinch ran. Or he came in. I'll figure it out in a second. Single to center for Nevison. So the potential game-winning run standing at first base with Taylor Van Ham batting. So Popplestone still there, Carter still there. No. So Pritchard has moved from left field to center field. There we go. And Moffat, who was run for by Voth has come out of the game as well. And Garrett Graham has come in, and he's now playing left field. That's what it is. Okay. Meanwhile, a strike taken by Van Ham and the count 0-1. So again, Pritchard now in center, Graham in left, and a stolen base for Nevison puts the potential game-winning run at second base. The count 1-1 on Van Ham. Plenty of drama here at Susan McEachern Memorial Ball Field in Sydney. 3-3, bottom of the 8th inning. Friesen delivers. The bunt put down, but it goes foul. So the count now 1-2. The potential winning run at second base. As the home team bats in the bottom of the 8th inning. Friesen delivers the 1-2 pitch. Grounded right back at Friesen. He's able to freeze the runner and make the out at first base. That'll bring up Gus Wilson. Wilson comes up with the runner on second and one out. Wilson 1 for 3 with a sacrifice as well. Nevison trying to get into the head of Friesen a little bit there, and it may have worked as Friesen missed the zone with his first pitch to Wilson. Runner going. The ball sent to deep right center field, and it will drop in. And because Nevison had to go back to make sure that ball wasn't caught, he only gets as far as third base. Wilson with a double, but he doesn't end up driving in the winning run. And that's going to bring up Brendan Muha, who is going to be intentionally walked to load the bases. So that will now bring up Evan Douglas. Douglas 1 for 4 has a chance to end this game for Kamloops with the winning run at third base and one away here in the bottom of the 8th inning. shows bunt, and just gets a piece of the ball. The squeeze was on, but it's just fouled off. 0-1. I know I said it about an inning and a half ago, but I'll say it again. If you are not enjoying this baseball game, you just don't enjoy baseball. This one swung on and missed, or swung on and fouled back into the screen rather, and the count now 0-2 on Evan Douglas, the first baseman, with the chance to be the hero, chance to send his team to the semifinals tomorrow morning against Windsor. The 0-2 pitch, and he is called out on strikes. The breaking ball buckles the knees, of Douglas, and that is the third strikeout for Friesen since coming in, and now it's up to the bat of Jay Huggins. First pitch misses inside, ball one. One and 0 to the right fielder turned first baseman, Jay Huggins. Fouls that one back, it's 1-1. Huggins 0 for 4 so far today. Reached once on an error, popped out twice, and struck out once. The 1-1 pitch. That one's fouled back, and the count goes to 1-2. One thing we know for sure, this will be the last batter of this inning. Either a run will score or the third out will get made. Those are the only two options of what can happen on this with this batter. And that one sent out to center field high enough, and able to come in and get underneath it is Pritchard for the third out. We're going to play 9, folks. No runs on 2 hits, no errors, and the bases left loaded in the bottom of the 8th inning. We're going to go to 9, still tied at 3 apiece. It's Pritchard, Boudreau, and Graham due up in the top of the 9th inning for Elmwood. And we'll just do a quick check around the defense of the Sun Devils. David Heck, who pinch ran for Rob Morrison, stays in the field in left. Morrison had been the left fielder. Muha, who had pinch run for Herbranson, stays the DH anyway. Jay Huggins is still out in right field, but instead of Douglas at first, no, Huggins is at first base, and Evan Douglas was replaced by Matt Richards in the lineup. So that was Richards who struck out, actually, not Douglas, for that second out of the inning. Matt Richards is out in right field. There we go. That's what it looks like now, yeah. So again, the outfield, Heck, Van Zam, and Richards from left to right. Wells and Huggins on the right side of the infield. Wells at second, Huggins at first. Wilson and Nevinson short and third, respectively. McKenzie still behind the plate. And still delivering from the mound is Lukinchuk, and gets 1 pitch, 1 out on the grounder to Nevison. And that retires Steve Pritchard to start the top of the 9th inning. That'll bring up Brett Boudreau. He's 0 for 3. First pitch taken out on the outside corner for a strike. That one sent out to center field. Moving over and getting under it is Van Ham for the second out. 2 up, 2 down. That'll bring up Garrett Graham. Graham came in to play left field after Justin Voth pinch ran for Chris Moffat back in the 7th. Graham takes the first pitch outside, ball 1. That one up into the air, but coming right down to the second baseman, David Wells, for the third out of the inning. So a quick 3 up, 3 down. Just 5 pitches needed by Lukinchuk. So that does bring his total to 112. We'll go to the bottom of the 9th with the game still tied, and it will be Heck, Wells, and McKenzie due up for the Kamloops Sun Devils. As now we're going to have another meeting of the umpires. And not quite sure what the issue is here, but I think it might be that Friesen, as he stands on the mound, is looking right into the sun, which of course is coming down here as we reach nearly 20 after 7 in the evening. And seeing if there's, with the importance of this game, you don't want to leave any circumstances that might cause a game to end on some misfortune that is beyond a team's control. So now it looks like oh no, Boudreau is still out there. So looks like there might be a couple of defensive changes for the Elmwood Giants, as it appears now playing first base is Riley Traeger, and it looks like Brett Boudreau has moved from first to short. Brett Boudreau indeed has moved from first to short. And so that would mean, I would assume, that Garrett Popplestone is out of the game, and Riley Traeger is now in his spot in the batting order. And Devin Heck will lead off the bottom of the 8th, takes the first pitch for a strike. And a grounder right up the middle will get through for a base hit. A leadoff single for Heck. And once again, the Kamloops Sun Devils with a chance to have the winning run on base here in the bottom of an extra inning. David Wells, the second baseman, coming up. He's 0 for 3, but he's reached base 4 times, twice by way of an error and once by way of a walk. He's also come around to score on one of those trips. And just getting confirmation that, yes, Boudreau has moved to short. Traeger is now at first. They show bunt, and the bunt is pushed down the first base side, but foul by David Wells. Those of you old enough to remember, no, not the same David Wells who pitched for Toronto and New York back in the 90s. Obviously not the same David Wells. A bunt pushed down again. This time it will be a sacrifice that is successful. Sacrifice to the first baseman unassisted. So 1 away, but the winning run does get to second base, or potential winning run. Connor McKenzie now comes up. He's 0 for 2 and has also walked twice. Takes the first pitch on the outside corner, and the count 0-1. We're going to try and get information from the Baseball Canada officials as soon as we can on what impact this may have on the start time for the game between St. John's and Dartmouth. Obviously, with it being now 20 after 7, there's a liner caught by the second baseman and doubling off Heck as he had no chance. What a play by the second baseman, Colton Boudreau, to first make the stab and then pass it over to his brother Brett for the third out of the inning. So no runs on one hit, no errors, nobody left on base. We'll go to the top of 10, still tied at 3 apiece. I'm going to run downstairs really quick and see if I can get some specific information on what the start time for the next game might be in relation to the end of this game, and we'll let you know as soon as possible. So the information we just got from the Baseball Canada officials is that it will be 45 minutes from the time of the last out of the ball game, whatever time that happens to be. So as of right now, the 8 o'clock game will definitely not start on time. So we know for sure the 8 o'clock game will not start on time. It's now just a matter of what time will it start, and we won't know that until this game ends. Colton Boudreau, who made that big play to end the bottom of the 9th, now leads off the top of the 10th. He's 1 for 3 with an RBI single. He drove in the game-tying run in the top of 7. Swings at the first pitch, but it's chopped foul. That one stays in fair territory, knocked down at third base, recovered, and the strong throw across from Nevison in time for the first out. That'll bring us back around to the top of the order for Nathan Christuk. And because of his pitch count, this is the last batter that Lukachuk will face. Grounder down to third. Gathered in, and 2 up, 2 down here in the top of the 10th inning, and that will do it for Lukachuk. 9 2/3 innings of absolutely stellar pitching for Lukachuk, and he's going to So 9 2/3 innings for Lukachuk. He gives up 3 runs on just 6 hits. He walked 1. He only walked 1 batter. He also hit 1 batter and struck out 6 in those 9 2/3 innings. So the new pitcher for Kamloops looks like it is going to be Brendan Muha. So the DH now becomes the pitcher. So the Sun Devils lose their DH for the rest of the game, however long that ends up being. And again, those expecting the St. John's versus Dartmouth game at 8 o'clock, it will not be an 8 o'clock start. I had to go and make that comment earlier about all the games running on time. Riley Traeger due up for his first at bat after coming in as a defensive replacement. Traeger fouls the first pitch he sees, back and out of play. 0-1 the count as we play here in the top of the 10th inning of this quarter-final game here at the 2022 Baseball Canada Men's Championship Tournament. Pitch misses low, 1-1 now the count. Here's the delivery. Pulled down the third base line, knocked down there by Nevison. Throw across in time. And Nevison with all 3 putouts in the top of, oops, I didn't even get it. There we go, top of 10. 1, 2, 3 outs. This game has been so exciting. I've lost track of what I'm supposed to be doing here. Oh my goodness. We go to the bottom of the 10th. Still tied at 3. Due up in the bottom of the 10th. It's the guy who did all the defense in the top of the 10th, Scott Nevison, followed by Taylor Van Ham and Gus Wilson. As Friesen will continue to pitch for Elmwood. Anthony Friesen has thrown 5 1/3 innings. He's given up 1 run in his 5 1/3 innings of work. Elmwood, 3 runs on 6 hits. They also have committed 4 errors. Kamloops, 3 runs on 10 hits. Here comes Scott Nevison. He's 3 for 4 today. 3 singles, an RBI, and a run scored as he bats here in the 10th. Takes the first pitch inside, ball 1. We're playing the bottom of the 10th inning. Winner gets to play Windsor tomorrow morning. Loser, unfortunately, sees their tournament come to an end. 1-1 now the count on Nevison as he swung through the second offering. That pitch catches the outside corner in the count, 1-2. The 1-2 pitch fouled off, and it remains 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes to the third baseman, Nevison. He gets that one into center. It will drop down in front. And for the 3rd straight extra inning, Elmwood sees their season potentially threatened by the potential game-winning run for Kamloops getting on base. We're back around to the top of the order. Taylor Van Ham, he's 0 for 3 with a pair of walks and a run scored today. First pitch misses high and outside, ball 1. Van Ham was showing bunt, but was able to get the bat back well in plenty of time. Van Ham again showing bunt, but the throw over to first instead to Traeger. Plenty of time for Nevison, to get back. Showing bunt again, pulls the bat back and takes a strike. The count now 1-1. Three, bottom of inning number 10 between the Elmwood Giants in white, the Kamloops Sun Devils in green. Showing bunt, gets the bunt down, and it will be a successful sacrifice as Nevison gets to second base. A nice bunt laid by Taylor Van Ham. 5-3 on the sacrifice, and now the game-winning run once again in scoring position as Nevison moves from first to second on the play, and it'll bring up Gus Wilson. Wilson 2 for 4 with a single, a double, and a sacrifice so far. And that one sent out to center field. Getting over to make the catch once again was Steve Pritchard. And yet again, Kamloops runs themselves out of an inning as Nevison was running on contact, did not get back in time. 8-4 on the double play. Or 8-6, on the double play. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, nobody left on base. We're going to play 11. Why not? It's going to be Carter, Norquay, and Armstrong due up for Elmwood in the top of the 11th inning. You combine this game with the game that Kamloops played last night and the game that they played earlier today, they are now going into their 27th inning. They played 10 innings last night. No, they're going into their 30th inning. They played 10 innings. No, I was right. No. They played 10 innings last night, 7 innings this morning. That's 17. This is the 11th. They're going into their 28th inning. So they've played more than 3 Major League Baseball games in the span of just over 24 hours. In fact, the game last night started 24 hours and 5 minutes ago. So in 24 hours and 5 minutes, this is now their 28th inning that they are playing. Elmwood, on the other hand, played 7 innings this morning. They played 7 innings yesterday, and those 7 innings they played yesterday were at 4:30. So if fatigue starts to become a factor, that may be advantage Elmwood. Dan Carter leading off. He's 0 for 3 with a sac fly RBI and takes the first pitch high and inside, ball 1. We're in the top of the 11th inning of the quarterfinals between Elmwood and Kamloops. That pitch misses inside, and it's ball 2 as Muha continues to pitch after coming in with 2 out in the top of the 10th inning. Gets a strike there, and it's now 2-1 to Dan Carter. That one misses low, ball 3, 3-1 now. And here comes the 3-1 pitch. That'll miss high, ball 4. And for the first time since we've gone to extra innings, the Elmwood Giants will get a runner on base. We're in the top of 11. There we go. And a runner on first with nobody out. That brings up Chris Norquay. He is 1 for 4 with an RBI single. Shows bunt. Gets the bunt down. Gathered up by the third baseman, Nevison. The throw over. And the successful sacrifice gets the runner over to second and brings up Kyle Armstrong. He's 0 for 3 with a walk and a run scored. That run that he scored back in the 7th inning, tying up the ball game and forcing these extra innings that we've played. That pitch in the dirt, gathered in nicely by McKenzie. And Armstrong ahead in the count, 1-0. If you're tuning in, expecting to see Dartmouth and St. John's in about 20 minutes, it will be at the very minimum at least 45 minutes. The first pitch for the next game will be 45 minutes after the last out in this game. So first pitch will depend on how much longer this game goes. Two and one the count on Armstrong right now. The potential lead run standing at second base in the form of Dan Carter. That one misses high, and it's 3-1. The 3-1 pitch misses inside, ball 4. And it's now runners at first and second with one out, and that'll bring up Steve Pritchard. Pritchard 0 for 3 with a walk. But before we get to Pritchard, we're going to see a defensive change. No, we're just seeing a coach come out and have a chat, I think. Yes, just a coach coming out to have a chat with Muha, the pitcher. Just a very quick conversation there, and whatever it was, we're ready to get rolling again. First and second, one away, top of the 11th inning. 3-3 between the Elmwood Giants of Manitoba and the Kamloops Sun Devils from British Columbia. That one misses high. 1-0 the count. Muha gets himself set and delivers. There's a strike, and the count now 1-1. Carter at second, Armstrong at first. That one gets away from McKenzie, and that will allow the runners to each advance 90 feet. And now the potential lead run stands at third base with the 2-1 count on the center fielder for the Elmwood Giants. He started the game as the left fielder, moved to center when Chris Moffat was pinch hit for. And Garrett Graham came into the game to play left field. Swing and a miss there by Pritchard, and the count goes to 2-2. The 2-2 offering misses outside, 3-2. And for Muha, he may want to walk Pritchard anyway to get a force at any bag rather than... That one sent up into the air, deep in center field. Underneath it, making the catch is Van Ham. He's going to throw home. The ball takes a bad bounce off of the mound, and that allows Carter to get in to score. It is the second out of the inning, but a run does come home, and Elmwood now leads it 4-3. Armstrong not able to advance on that play, so a sac fly RBI for Pritchard. That'll bring up Brett Boudreau. He's 0 for 4. And Boudreau skies that one on the left side of the infield. Calling for it is Wilson, and he'll make the catch for the third out. But Elmwood does get one run on no hits. It was a couple of walks that did it for them. One run on no hits. There were no errors. There was one wild pitch and one runner left on base. We go to the bottom of the 11th with Elmwood now with a chance to finish it off. Kamloops needs to score 1 to extend this game. They need to score 2 to walk it off and win it. And it's going to be Anthony Friesen still out there to try and finish what he has. Actually, no, it's a pitching change, excuse me. Now coming in to get the save is Neil Walton, or potentially get the save, I should say. Walton coming in to try and finish this off for the Giants. Friesen would stand to get the win. But the players to try and keep the Kamloops hopes alive, Muha, Richards, and Huggins. And if anybody gets on, then it's going to be Heck due up next. As we get ready for this bottom of the 11th inning. Muha coming up here. He's only made one plate appearance. No, yes. He came in as a pinch runner in the 6th and was intentionally walked in his one plate appearance, so he didn't even make a stop at the plate. He just got sent right down to first. So his first actual time standing in. Cued off the end of the bat over to the first baseman, Traeger. Traeger flips it to Walton for the first out. That'll bring up Matt Richards. He struck out looking his first time up. As Elmwood now 2 outs away from booking a spot in the semifinals with Windsor tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. That one out to right field, but it'll hang up enough that Norquay will make the catch for the second out. And now, last chance for the Kamloops Sun Devils. It will be Jay Huggins, who's 0 for 5 today. He did reach base on an error once, but he's got to get on base here to keep his team's hopes alive. Walton with the delivery. And that one looped right to Boudreau. And so a 3-up, 3-down inning ends the game. The Elmwood Giants will advance to the semifinals with a 1-0 victory. First pitch of the next game will be at 8:33 this evening. So the final score is the Elmwood Giants 4, the Kamloops Sun Devils 3. And what a thrilling game. First pitch for the next game will be 8:33 p.m. So call it 8:30, close enough. So we invite you to come back then for another quarterfinal, and if it's even half as good as this one, it'll be a great game. The tournament comes to an end, unfortunately, for the Kamloops Sun Devils, but for Elmwood, they live to play another day, and that other day will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow against Windsor. Until we come back in about 45 minutes, this is Michael Petter saying, may your pitches hit the corners, and may your liners hit the fence. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night.